Hello everybody and welcome to another tutorial in camera and lens repair. And this time I have my old Kodak Retina 1B, a little B, and well, it actually has some oil on the aperture blades and also on the shutter blades. So let's see what we can do about it. Now, this nice camera, yeah, from the flea market, it looks nice, and it, well, in a way, works absolutely okay. The slow gear is a bit off, but so it is. But the problem is, when we set it to B and fire the shutter, you can see there is a lot of oil on the aperture blades. So, but what can we do? Yeah, there seems we can actually do a lot since the camera is actually working. And yeah, but we need some tools. I mean, my dentist tool, which I like to work with. A few tweezers in different size. It's also very handy. A few screwdrivers, all flathead screwdrivers. It will be 1.8 millimeter and 1.5. And just to get things clear, I'm not sponsored by any company on my channel. Everything I do on my channel is paid by myself. So just to get things clear. Now, a few cotton buds will also be very handy. Some isopropylalcohol, 99%. I use that. You could probably also use some 70% or 80% or whatever. A lens sucker, a tiny one, is good for the aperture blades or the shutter blades, to put them in. And a tiny tool, yeah, you see it's a wire, it's actually piano wire, which I actually make a little tool that will be very handy if, well, in case I do not want to disassemble the whole shutter, strip the shutter. So I made this that I will show you sooner. And a little tool. Yeah, I know it's a bolt. It's actually a 20 millimeter bolt. It has quite a big head, which I have grind with my angle grinder and Dremel tool to make 2 pins. That will make it possible to very easy, in a way, take out the shutter. So I do not work with the shutter in the camera. It makes things much easier, and yeah, you can make it yourself. I don't know where you can buy those tools. I see some people on YouTube use those. They're original, I guess, but they maybe have been in the business. And I set two lines that so it will be easier to catch the small notch, one on each side, so I know when looking from above through the back of the camera, it will be easy to see. Now, it could be also very handy to use part of the rubber cones here and a rubber stopper here, to actually put in the aperture blades, which I saw Chris Sherlock did with a homemade tool. Thanks for that idea, Sherlock. Chris. So let's jump into it. I think it will be great fun. And of course, I need a Kodak lens cloth to actually wipe the blades with, to wipe off the isopropylalcohol. Now, just to get things clear, before we take anything apart, maybe if you are skilled repair in Retina, you would think, okay, that's not a problem for me, but just to get things clear before we take anything apart. So, with a pen, a permanent marker, I set a mark in here. Probably you can see it, it's red. I set a mark between two gear teeth. And also on the gear wheel here, that actually come from the advance lever and all that gearing in here, just to make it sure where did that when it's released, I know when I take the shutter out, I know exactly when I put it in again, where the gear has to sit when it's correct. It will just make it easier for me. It would probably be the same for you. I mean, just to make it easier for some to make it. Now, advance the shutter and then press the shutter button and keep it down. On this little cover, as you can see here, there are two screws, one on each side, one here, and there is one in here which probably can be a little difficult to see. There it is. So I will just unscrew it and hopefully get it out without any problem. So there, come out, little fellow. Okay, we just take off the other screw here. I don't think they're they're magnetized. No. Well, very, very little. So, put them aside and also take out the cover here. And also with the screw, which we have to set the focus. Advance it again. So there it is. Come out, little fellow. Yeah. You see, it's not easy. It did work before, but come out, little screw. Yeah, here it comes. There. We can just keep it there, and then unscrew the shutter from the back. I know it was not really the best thing to do. So, yeah, it was not correct. I know. So now I will take my special, really homemade tool and simply take out the retaining ring in here, which you probably can see. There are two notches. There is also two notches on the back lens, so it will not be those. But with this tool, I can just put it in, catch those notches there, and unscrew it. I tried earlier with a lens tool and it doesn't work because it's kind of a square, so you cannot turn the lens tool to get the retaining ring out. Now then it should be quite possible to lift out the retaining ring here. Maybe not. Yeah, okay. It's not possible, so I can just turn the camera over and the retaining ring will fall off. Okay, this little fellow come off. Yeah, I know. But so I can take out the shutter and just to get it clear where those marks were. It's in this case 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Between 4 and 5 the gear here has to sit. And you can see I also set a mark here on the, hopefully you can. I set a mark here where this gear should engage. It's possible to take this out and turn it over. It can only sit in 2 positions, so it's not that hard. But we can just put it back in again. So it is possible. You could set it all the way over here. Oh, but it has to sit there because that's where I put my mark. Now, put it aside and let's look into the shutter itself. I will take off the front and back lens group. Lens group. So we only work with the shutter. So put it aside, and the back also, which is already loose. I know I have been into it, but one can use a like the cones here, press it on and then turn it counterclockwise, and then you get off the lens. You get the lens off. So now we are actually looking closer into it. Let's see what's happened. What if I set the aperture to something closed? You can see there is a nice star of oil on the aperture blades, which is actually quite a lot. And you maybe think, okay, why is it not fully open? Yeah, as they probably should be, but we have to turn it all the way over here. So that's the most open it can be. So you can see. So I need to take off the housing, the outer shell here that covers the shutter itself. It's hit with 3 screws, and is it one here, there, and this one, one here, one there, there, and there. Sorry for the light condition. I just try a new lamp, which I just buy in IKEA. And I would like to see if it could work in this case. But yeah, now back to shutter. I set a mark up here because this screw is a little different from the other one. This one is countersunk, this one is countersunk, this one is a screw with a head. It will engage with this fork here. So let's get them out. There's also one thing. There is a connection for the shutter. For a flash here. This plastic thingy that also goes into the shutter here. So if I can get it lifted out in a gentle way, or if I can just press the shutter out. That's the two things in here that engage with the advance of the shutter here. This pin is for advancing the shutter itself. And it will, on the other hand, this gear bar here on the back. So when advancing the shutter, the two bars will move. So, but keep it aside and let's continue. So now I can advance the shutter and fire it. Okay, it looks like something is wrong with one blade in here. So there could be something wrong. Now, that's also why I would like to take this shutter apart. It looks like there is something wrong in here. So maybe there is a pin in the aperture that is not really well working. But let's see. Now, take off this little pin for the aperture. It has a tiny screw, and for that I will use a 1.5 millimeter flathead. And take it out, so, and it has a really tiny screw here. And next step is actually to take off the XV pin, this one here on the back. It's sitting with two screws there and there, and it also in a way holding the yeah, the aperture ring, of course. I will take off, and it's also hold the plate here for the MXV ring. So yeah, let's just 1.5. Keep really, the screws are tiny. There is a when I take out the aperture ring here, there is also a thin kind of this is how it looks. There is also a thin, really thin plate, plastic. No, okay, I thought it was plastic, but it's a kind of plate, thin plate that makes the make it easier to, when it's just a little grease on it, it will make it easier to work with the aperture ring. So now we look further into and then can lift out the MXV ring. So it comes out, nothing special. This pin is going into here. So looking into here. And then we going to the front and take off the little tiny screw here, which is really tiny. It's hold the lock ring here on the back, not on the back. It holds this ring here, and there are some rings that we need to take care of. It luckily magnetized. Now take off this plate. No, not yet. Of course I need to unscrew this retaining ring. There is probably a tool for this one. I mean, to unscrew it. They maybe have some it in the factory. Well, I do not have, but one can easily unscrew it. It doesn't have to sit that tight. Now, then we can take out this ring, and then the exposure ring has to come off, and there something is sitting here. Just unscrew it. Not unscrew it, just take it off. Sorry, it was another shutter I played with that was a little different. So now we can take the cam, the exposure cam ring, I think it's called, off with that. A lot of dirt. And then we are looking into the actual shutter. And we can take some things away. I need to zoom in a little to make things easier to see. And maybe I can do something like that. Need to have a kind of a stand to put the shutter on. This is just the view lens from a Rolleiflex. Would it be easier? Yeah. Okay, maybe I should just keep it away. Now, see the inside of the shutter here. I need to take the part of the advance gear away, and I also set a mark here, up here at the first gear here, and then I can just take this out. So out with that, and then this part over here, I don't know the name of it, but keep on the tweezer on here and lift it out so the spring will still be on. One end of the spring here will, hope you can see it, I know it's difficult. One end of the spring is sitting on the pin here. The other end is going around this post here, this one. And then we can lift out the advancing ring. I think it could be it could be called. Just need a better tweezer. So off with that. And now I can take off the shutter button itself. It sits with one spring against the inside of the shutter housing. So when lifting it out, it will pop out, hopefully. Here it comes. See there. So, and before continue, well, I will just take all the other stuff out. It will say the slow gear and the self timer. And then lift it out. Oh, sorry, there's another screw here. Also take that out. And then the slow gear. Just lift it out as it is. Then the self timer. I also have a screw here. And keep in mind that the screws they look quite the same, those two screws, but they are not the same thickness and they are not the same length. So it can only sit, the gear for the self timer has its own screw. So, and now we actually, I will not disassemble more of those parts because, it's not really necessary to disassemble the whole shutter. Chris Sherlock did a nice video about it, so you can see more in details. For this, I will show you the disassemble to get into the shutter blades and the aperture blades. Now, this little tool here I made only for say taking out this bar and all the other gears. Well, I didn't get that, so I made a tool here where I can draw this little spring away and let it rest over here. So it will be something like that. So the spring, this end over here, I just made the piano wire so long, as short as it could be, to hang on this post here. And it works pretty good. I can just use the thread on here to, in a way, lock it into place. And that's good. So it will stay there without destroying anything. And then I can flip over the shutter and take out 3 screws here, which will make it possible to take out the shutter itself, and of course also the blades. Then I am actually not ready yet, because there is another spring that we need to, I just forget, sorry. This tiny spring here that hang on this hook, kind of. Then we need to gently unhook it. It's also resting on the side, on the inside of the edge of the shutter housing. So we can just let it hang there. And so it is. So there's not any else shutter, there's not any spring left. There's also a spring that I discovered when I was in the shutter. Before, this little spring has to sit as it is. There, it will see. It will say on this side of that pin. I don't know the name, but now I can actually flip the shutter over and hopefully let the shutter blade stay on it. Hopefully, and here we are inside the shutter. So let's have a look on it. All the blades are the same, exact same size and the way they look. So there is no problem there. Just rearrange things. Now, to get the blades off, well, we will just take them off and flip them down to a shower, a bath of isopropylalcohol. And no, I will not put this the shutter assembly part of it down to the bath. I will just use a cotton bud to clean off. Now, then it looks nice and fine. I mean, to me it's okay. This is also a just to show how you can do it. Now take out the blades after this little bath. And then we can just clean them dry. I will just continue with taking out the aperture so they can be cleaned because they're very oily. So I will just see if it's possible to fully close, fully open the aperture. Should be possible in a way. Now, things look fine. I need to take out 3 screws around here. I will say this one, and this one. Probably better with a 1.5mm screwdriver. And here. And before I will take it out, I will just need to measure something which I haven't found out yet. Yeah, I think this one will probably work. Now, Chris Sherlock had made a nice tool when putting in the blades again, which I like the idea of, but I haven't made it yet. So therefore I will just do in the in an old-fashioned way by just putting them in. Wow. I mean, there's really oil on the blades here. Now, since the aperture is fully open, we need to just make a mark where the aperture ring sits. So to actually get the plate here correct in again, I'll just set a mark. Where is my tool here? I'll just set a small mark here just to remember. And I will also set a tiny mark here. Maybe it's not correct, but this is just how I see it will make it easier to assemble it again. Then I can take out this ring. Of course, there is another thing. It can only sit in one position because there is a hole here. This little hole. And we put on the ring. There's a lock pin here. And there's also a lock hole down here. But there's this hole there. And there is also a hole here. You might see it there. So it's impossible to put it in a wrong way. So just let's get things out. I'll just do a little cleaning here. Looks nice and fine. And I can just put in the fully glued aperture plate. Remember the orientation. There, and this plate too. There's also a lot of okay, didn't fill up enough. I can just add a little more. Now to get the blades in again, I figured out, okay, I have to make a tool, kind of a tool to control how those 10 blades actually, I mean, keep them from just not coming in correct. So I made a little plastic tool, something like a plastic sheet, a little harder, maybe something like 0.5 millimeter or so, and bend it, and then I can put it, when I have put on most of the blades, I can put this on here and simply put the three, yeah, the rest of the blades, 3 it will be, and in that way better control how they will act. And then I can then put this ring on and have a good control of what's actually happened. Hope it makes sense. Now I will speed up the process by putting in the blades here. So that was part of it. I forgot to tell you the cone. I mean, the smallest cone in those rubber tool. I simply put it through the hole in the middle. So just like Chris Sherlock did with a wrench tools and put them on, you have a much better control over it. But what about the rest of it? Yeah, that's when I did this tiny plastic tool and simply put it over like this. And in that way I have a much better control of what I'm doing. Hopefully I put it correct. And then I can move the blades. In that way, hopefully. So then it should be simple in a way, like adding the rest of the plates. So maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like it's okay. So now I can see I need to move my little tool here, something like that. Yeah, so now it seems to have a way it can work. So there, and then it goes under here, and no. Well, sometimes it works, and sometimes it's more difficult. Nobody said it should be easy. You just need to buy some attention. So maybe it would work better in that way. Yeah. It seems like something is working. Okay, yeah. So why I did this, it was simply just because the blades were not in a perfect shape. So I need to press some of them down. Now, then it should be possible to put the aperture control ring on. And you see, I found out that this curve here, from there to there, this end here has to go around here. So it has to sit something like that when I put it in. When I put the aperture control ring on, and it should be something like that. We are almost there. It's quite interesting, this. Yeah. So we just need... Oh, here we are. Whew. Wow. And then I can put the cover on here, I mean the housing. And I also set a small mark here when I found out, okay, it in that way it should sit. So this pin here has to sit as longest over to here when the aperture is fully open. And I have my guide pin up here, which will go in that guide pin here. If we look on the other side, it would be that pin here, I mean this hole here, sorry. And the cutout here in the end, in the bottom of the aperture ring, it should of course go on here. So well, it should actually be possible to put it on again. It looks like it's working, but then I have to lift up the whole system, and then I think we are there. Just need to press down and then flip it over and see if it will work in a way. But maybe it's better I just put in some screws, so I'm safe in a way. And of course the screws has to sit on this side, so I can just use my rubber cones. Oh, I like that tool. It's so fantastic because you can use them to a lot of things. So then I should carefully move the rubber cone out here, and hopefully, let's see if it will work. One of the blades were not in good shape, so I need to bend it, but now something like new. Wow. It works. That's pretty good. And then we head off for the yeah, let's say the main plate the plate here, and for that I will use my this ring from a Rolei camera, because then my spring will still be holding the, I mean my tool here will still hold this spring over here in place, and then I can add the shutter blades, and so we are almost there. Shutter blades can only sit in one way, so it is. And they are all the same shape. So I will try to use my little lens sucker. Maybe it will make it easier, maybe not. So it is. So it is. Here we are, and then we can just put on the yeah, I know there's something wrong here which I should have looked after. Nah, doesn't matter. My little tool fall off. But well, it will work anyway. So let's see how it should be arranged. It should be like this. And there is something there. This is over here. Yeah. And here we are. Actually, and can just add this tiny little spring here where it was. So, and there it is. What it should be. Now, yeah, then we can just continue. I have to modify this little tool for next time. Now then we have to place some of the spring in the correct way. This one has to sit all the way over here. Should sit. Nah. So, and there it sits correct. Now the next thing is the shutter button itself has to be put in. And then put it on here. And then put in the spring. I know I should have lube, but the shutter is really working really good. So this is just a demonstration how it could be done. So there, this little spring. Shutter button, and there it is. Now then we put in the slow gear, which I found out I think it's better to put that in first and then next the slow gear. Or maybe I should just put in the aperture ring and the ring for the MX V pin. I don't know the real name, but this pin here, if we look closer, the where is it here? The pin that goes in has to sit like, where is it? Here. So the spring, it goes against the little spring here. Hopefully you can see it. There. Not easy to show. But it should go like this. So you see the spring is pressing on the spring. This is how it should be. And then I can add the maybe this one will work. So like this. Okay, yeah, just do so. Not gonna good enough. And then put the aperture ring and the spacer, this one here. Has to sit there. Something like that. And then a screw, which is not magnetized, of course not. Working really good. Now then I can add my slow gear, no, not the slow gear, the self timer. There's a pin here, you can see, and it goes into the boring down here, this boring here. And there is no, if the self-timer is working, there is no idea to disassemble it. So one have to put it over the little pin here, the kind of a fork. So it has to sit something like that, and then you can simply push the self-timer over to the boring, and then it should get into place if we are lucky enough. Yeah, so it is. And then it sits correct. Then I will just add the long thin screw. It's not the same as the screw for the slow gear. Tighten it gently. And then I can add the slow gear, and there's a thing which is easier to add the little screw here first, because there is a gap there. And then put it in. Where's my tweezer? Here. So there. One have to push the tiny pin here when you try to put it in. If not, it will not sit correct. And another important thing is, if it's possible to show, this pin here has to sit on the other side, so it has to sit like I know it's difficult to see, but this one has to sit there when you put it in. If not, it will not work. So there, and put it into correct position. Oh, there. This pin here has to move. It should be possible to move when it sits correct. And if we look up here, this one should also move if things are sitting correct. So then I can add the little screw, the longs. Okay, where did it go? There, and not tighten it yet, just screw it in so you have it in a control in a way, and then I can screw this screw in. Of course, this one also has to sit correct. We need to have the cam, the advanced cam ring on first. So the end of the spring, oh gosh, I need 4 hands. This the spring has to sit on this post there, and then we can move the advance ring. I don't know the name, but then we should put it on and move it a little so it sits like that. The pin from the cell timer has to sit here so it can move. And then I can add the gear here. Put this on here. So it sits like that. And then I can put in this little part here using 2 tweezers, one to hold the part and the other is holding the little spring. Oh gosh, what's happened here? The little bloody spring come off. Okay. Not easy. No. Okay, here we are. Just try it again. Okay. Yeah. Oh gosh. Sometimes it's good to work with the gloves and sometimes not. But now I have them on, so here we are. Just put the part here just a little over the pin, and then you can turn it slightly. And then with another tweezer, hopefully put it over. Yeah, so it is. Will it work? Yeah, I guess so. See, this one have to move a little. Yes, it's correct. That's fine. So now let's see if it's possible to advance the shutter or not. Okay, I'm sure I forgot something. If we set 1 second, well, it's a little fast, a little too fast. But then we have to adjust it a little by moving the slow gear a little. And just loosen. Okay, I can see I didn't screw it correctly in. So I haven't screwed it in proper. Well, sorry for that. We'll just try again. Yeah, much better in my opinion. So I will just say that's fine and then add the shutter ring. Where should it sit? It's over here. Then this plate, come on, can only sit in one position. So, and then the lock ring. It doesn't have to sit too tight, because then it will be really hard to move the exposure. So it has to sit, well, not too hot and not too loose in a way. Then the tiny screw. Then I have a 1.2 millimeter. I think it will work with a 1.5. So. Then screw it in. So something like that. And then we can also put this the aperture pin here. I can also add that. Oh, it doesn't sit. It sits over here beside the MX. Going a little backward to catch the thread. Now here we are. And the aperture is working. Wow, that's really good. Okay, then I can add the back lens screw. Looks fine. And use a rubber tool to then the lens here is on. So, and then we are almost there. Wow. It seems to be working really good. So then I can, sorry for that, I just need to put in the covering here. And it has to sit correct. The flash point here and the other end of it, where it will connect it to there. I will add it on here. So this one has to be put on, something like that. And one just need to do some adjustment. And of course there is a little wire in here. Or a kind of a spring that we need to take care of. Oh, I thought it was just some dirt. So the little contact point here has to go over it, something like that, and then press gently on it. Then add the 3 screws, which 2 of them are the same. And I make a point in the beginning, set a red mark where this screw is the lock screw for the lens. And now we are here, back on track, and the my mark here, I can just for making it easier to see what's going on, then so you will be able to see where it should go in. Then add the shutter and this housing here. Maybe I should put it on first, I will guess so. I think it will be a lot easier, of course. Not easy to, at the same time the camera will look, and I of course also have to look what's going on. But hopefully get the idea of And since I haven't taken off the front here, it will of course make it more difficult to, oh, just need this one to see what's going on. Then I can hopefully lower it, and yeah, that's the hole. So of course this is not a CLA. It was just a short demonstration of how it looks inside, and hopefully it will be useful for somebody. I really get inspired by Chris Sherlock to make this video, and of course there are yeah, well, it could be better, but then set the yeah focusing ring to near end, and then put in the shutter itself. I have my mark here, and I also have my mark here at the ring, and this pin here has to sit all the way up as long as it can here. If not, it will not be correct when putting on the shutter. So it should be something like that. If it's correct. So something like that. Okay, one maybe has to adjust this part a little to get it correct in. I would guess so. What's going on here? What's going on here? This one is loose. This pin is there. Everything should be fine, except that is weird. Of course, yeah. And it sits correct. Okay, it was just me. Well, flip it over and then open the back and add the, where did that go? My little retaining ring. Oh, of course, it sits in there. It never come out. Yeah, it's late. So, in with the tool and find the correct position where it should sit. And then turn it counterclockwise to catch the thread. And here we are. So, and now let's see how it will go. So, wow, it actually works. That's pretty good. And the aperture is also working. Let's see how good it will go. Wow, that's beautiful. So how about that? That's great. If you like it, I hope so. I know there was some errors during the process, but I think it turned out to be really interesting. So that's all for me. Bye bye.